Thanks everybody for having me. I know these guys would have been here anyway, but we don't need to do formal introductions because I know everybody knows you guys. But because I come from Roku, there's a question I always have to ask, and it's, what are you guys streaming right now?
My wife and I usually like to have a few shows in the hopper at once. We just finished Your Friends and Neighbors, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Right now we're watching The Bear and The Studio.
I just finished up the series finale of Handmaid's Tale, but I am currently addicted to the movie Yacht Rock.
Yeah.
The documentary. It's just on repeat. It's like background at this point.
I gotta ask though, for Your Friends and Neighbors, nobody has cameras in their house?
There's a lot of questions that were. I think you had to suspend a lot of disbelief on some of that, but it was mindless entertainment.
Awesome. No, I'm a big fan of the show too. Also, if anybody cares what I'm watching right now, I don't know if anybody's watching.
Yeah, we do.
Please? All right, great, thanks. Stick, I've been enjoying that.
Yes.
That's been good. I feel like it's trying to be a little bit Ted Lasso.
Well, it is.
Makes it a little bit feel good, but I'm a terrible golfer, and it makes it. I enjoy people that can golf. It's nice. By the way, before we start, I have to also plug Marcus's book. It is awesome. It really changed my perspective in terms of why I make the decisions that I do, why I love brands, even though there really isn't a reason from a product standpoint. It's a cultural, feeling that we have. And also, Marcus, I got to tell you, from now on, if I think something is okay, I'm just going thumbs up. So
that's fair.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you got
it. Big takeaway from today. So Fandom, we're here to talk about Fandom, right? And today, Fandom has extended so far past celebrities, right? Past sports. We're fans of brands. We're fans of fashion, food, culture. Would love to hear from you guys. How do you guys define fandom in culture today?
Well, I think about fandom. Fandom is short for fanatic, and they're people who are zealous about a thing. And what we find is that our ability to connect to things aren't, to your point, Michael, about the functional propositions, right? It's the emotional and identity congruence that really brings us to a thing. And fan collectives begin to assemble when we find people who are like us. Right? You go, oh my God, you like watch The Bear? I watch The Bear too. Oh my God, so good, right?
Right.
Like we find ourselves connecting over these things, and what they really kind of get at is that our consumption are just ways by which we make our culture material. Right? Our consumption, whether it's a sports team that you wear as an effort to signal who you are, what school you went to, whether you're a Nike guy or a Adidas girl, these aren't just about the product functionality, but they're really about what they say about us, and as a result, how we're able to connect accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at fandom in a few different ways over the last couple of years. We've been trying to reignite fandom, for one, just in general with Chili's, because there are a lot of people that were fanatics about Chili's back in the day that had kind of waned over time, and so we're trying to reignite that. And we've done it. The team's done a great job, and you're going to hear about some of these examples throughout the day. But we've been really deliberate about trying to tap into certain fandoms and make that connection of where Chili's can be connected to NASCAR. We can be connected to the Bravo-holics, thanks to Luz. She's taught me a lot about that. Lifetime, we went back to nostalgia. Like, there's all these different fandoms, and I think for us, the trick has been, how can we present Chili's in a way that is really authentic to those fandoms and not be intrusive and force our way in, but find a natural way in. And so we're always on the lookout for what the next group that we want to try and become and convert into Chili's fans.
Marcus, we see a lot of brand briefs from partners, and they talk about wanting to tap into culture.
Yeah.
Right? I know you've spoken about this before. Can you kind of give your perspective to the group in terms of what you think when you hear a brand wants to tap into culture?
So I think that language is not as useful as we typically thought. And I'll be the first to say, I even use that language in my book. I talk about tapping into culture as a way to take advantage of or insert ourselves into the culture of a group of people. And by culture, I mean a system of conventions and expectations that demarcate who they are and govern than what people like them do. The challenge with tapping into culture is that it is exploitative in nature. Think of a tap, like you put it in a tree and you extract all the resources and then peace out. Like that's not how we engage in culture. Cultural engagement is about contributing to culture. You got to see culture as a place to give, not a place to take. I mean, and the work that Chili's has done is a perfect example of this. There are ways of signaling like, hey, I see you. We're like, hey, we're fans too, right? There's the discourse. I mean, I can steal this from you, George, because you know this better than I do. But like, I'm a huge fan of Boyz II Men, so this has to be said.
Let's do it.
Huge fan of Boyz II Men.
We all are.
Yeah.
All at least up here. I'm going to go ahead and assume you are too.
You know, that people were misattributing the Baby Back Ribs song or theme to Boyz II Men. Well, it's not. It's actually, sidebar, Alvin Vinny Chia from Take Six, who inspired Boyz II Men. Just a little factoid for you.
Nice.
Anyway.
Not getting that at your...
It's not happening. Exactly. So like people were misattributing Boyz II Men to that. So Chili's being a fan of Boyz II Men, sort of finding this moment in time when Chili's was at its zenith in the 90s, Boyz II Men being a relic or an artifact of that, engages Boyz II Men, have them sing the song, and contributed back to the community. Right? That's engagement through contribution as opposed through extraction, as opposed to tapping in. And the benefits of that are massive because people go, oh, that's dope. Let me take that. And they share with people who are just like them. You're not even leveraging your media dollars. I mean, that's the brilliance of Luz's work, that she's finding ways to activate the media of people, what we call social media, the media of people, through this congruence of brand and identity.
Yeah, it's you know, and we had Marcus here almost 3 years ago.
Just 2 years ago.
2 years ago, right? Yeah. In this room, and we were kind of at the beginning of that journey, and I think we've taken a lot of the lessons from that book and trying to figure out how we do that in a way that makes sense and isn't exploitative and is more contributing. I think the Boyz II Men example is a funny one. You know, it's the fastest email I've ever responded to in my life. When they send, you know, they said, you know, we've been, you know, associated with Chili's for so long, and like, you know, if you guys were ever down, I was like, yes, absolutely, we are down, we are so in. But I think just trying to find what are those other ways that Chili's can contribute is huge for us, and I think social media has been a big place, you know, where we've found success. Is, you know, a lot of times I think brands, or like the old way was brands just push things out. That's what we want people to see, and that's what we want people to talk about. I think now it's much more about listening and understanding how people want to engage with your brand or consume your brand, and that is, it's different, and I think it's exciting, but it takes people that understand that and can actually take those insights and then do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where meaning is being negotiated, right? Meaning is being negotiated when we're in discourse, and social networking platforms provide an opportunity for us to not listen, but to interpret. And we're actively listening on, oh, this means this to these people, so how might we be able to contribute to them, right? So instead of us, we have a story to tell, we're going to tell a story, you're going to consume it, and that's going to turn into your consumption. Not so much, right? The idea here is that I'm observing what is meaningful, full of meaning for you. Now, how might I be able to contribute to that in a way that is equally meaningful?
And on that front, in terms of social listening, right, and how we use that to drive innovation, can you talk a little bit about maybe specifically the viral cheese pulls, which has obviously been so popular, right, and just everybody's talking about it. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that and how you guys tapped into that to see some real success?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example, and you know, you'll hear more from the people behind it later today. But you know, at that time, we were really focused on, you know, we're pushing out our message. You know, just like Marcos saying, you know, 3 for me, $10.99. You know, a new burger called the Big Smasher, and you know, that was doing great. But all of a sudden, the social team started noticing, hey, there's this kind of steam picking up on TikTok of like people are buying this item called the Triple Dipper. It's a like sampler appetizer. You get to pick 3 appetizers. They all come with dips. Yeah, you can't beat it, right? And they're like, man, it's like really picking up, and like people are like taking our fried mozzarella and seeing how far they can like pull the cheese. And we're like, okay, that's interesting. It could be fun. And then like it kept going. And so, the triple dipper, there's nothing new about it. Like there was nothing new about it. Like it was an item that's been on our menu for years and years and years. The fried mozzarella had been there. Like nothing about it was new. So like while we were over here talking 3 for Me, Big Smasher, our fans are telling us there is something exciting happening over here. And thankfully we have a great social team that said, how can we pour gas on the fire and how can we help now just encourage this conversation, be a part of the conversation. That led to more innovation, getting our culinary team involved. How do we move quickly, launch new iterations of that fried mozzarella, do it on social media, do it on secret menus. But now it's a joint conversation that wasn't even started by us, but now we want to be a part of it. We want to encourage it. And, I don't know, like over a year later, there's still, hundreds of millions of TikToks out there with cheese pulls, and people are still having fun doing this. And it's really become a meaningful part of our business. And so I think for me, the lesson was one, like you have to be willing to understand how people want to engage with your brand and listen and be flexible enough to do that. But also, gosh, right now, like social media can absolutely move the needle on your business, like unlike anything I've seen in my career.
I think that grammatic turn of phrase is really powerful, as opposed to how do we tap into or how do we take advantage of to how do we help. Just by its very nature, you get to different solutions. Because if it's how do we take advantage of, it's like how do we jump in on a thing. And it's really about inserting yourself in, as opposed to where are the points of friction and how can I remove those points of friction to help people. The outcomes are different. The skill sets don't change. Talent doesn't change. This idea of the red flags, they're just ways that we see the world that mitigate our ability to fully engage in the world at our highest fidelity. Just changing the language we use by its very nature gets us to different outcomes.
Again, because I'm the TV guy, shifting back to nostalgia TV, right? And maybe talking about another case study, right, which is also so successful. Your Radical Rita, right?
Yes.
Leveraging a great relationship with, I'm going to call her Tiffany Amber Thiessen because that's what I grew up.
I will say the team informed me that she is currently just going by Tiffany Thiessen.
And it bothers me.
What? She dropped Amber?
It's really
Why would she do it to her brand? What is she doing?
Shook. Totally shook. Man.
Crazy to me.
Yeah.
Listen, it's Tiffany Amber Thiessen or Kelly Kapowski.
Exactly. That's it. And
choose one. Yeah.
This is my tribe.
That's right.
I love it.
We really get each other.
Yeah, I really do. But can you talk a little bit about why that campaign you feel was so successful? What is it about nostalgia, right, that evokes that emotion that leads to real results that you guys saw with that promotion?
Yeah. I will just start by saying if 11-year-old George could see what's happening right now, he would think life was going pretty well. So I think nostalgia is incredibly powerful. I've worked on a few brands that are heritage brands like Old Spice and KFC, and I think tapping into nostalgia can be really powerful because nostalgia is like such a powerful, like it evokes emotions, and people have strong memories and ties, and brands are weird things, as Marcus was saying this morning, right? It's hard to put your fingers on it, but like brands can evoke emotions too. And so on a brand like Chili's, when I started 3 years ago, I mean, literally every single person I told that I was going to go work at Chili's, a big smile popped on their face, just like instantly, right? Now, unfortunately, the next line out was, man, I love Chili's. I haven't been there in like 10 years. Or I haven't been there in like 15 years, right? So we had some work to do, but this brand has such good bones. And like, we call that exercise, like how do you dig through the attic and find the things that are really special about the brand that made people love this brand so irrationally, in the 90s. We're really lucky here in the front row. We've got Larry Levine, the founder of Chili's, who's here. Like Larry and the guys, Doug Brooks and the guys that started Chili's, they call themselves the hamburger hippies. Like the story is phenomenal. And Chili's is a brand that wasn't born in a boardroom. They were born by real people that were just trying to make a place where you could find great food, great drinks at a great value every single day and come as you are. And we've just tried to really tap back into that vibe and that culture with nostalgia specific to like something like the Radical Michael Rita, knowing that Chili's was so relevant in the 90s, we want to find ways. We've partnered with Brian McKnight, Boys to Men, in this case, Kelly Kapowski. It was like for people like my age that are, part of our sweet spot, which are, millennial parents that are introducing their kids maybe to Chili's for the first time or have those memories. Like, we want to do it in a fun way, but we also want to do it in a way that's still relevant in today's world. It's not just looking back for looking back's sake. And so I think that's where I've got a great team that is able to take nostalgia but make it relevant and do it in a way that resonates, today in today's world.
It's so well said. I mean, actually, the word nostalgia, it's German etymology. People used to think about it as a disease, like it was an illness, a mental illness. That nostalgia meant that people were living in the past and couldn't move forward until we started using it with all this sort of emotional equity because of what it signals. Like these moments in life that draw you back and they flood the senses with memories, and being able to identify the meaningful moments in life and have a point of view that is aligned with theirs, it unlocks just a treasure trove of affects that drive how we make meaning and ultimately how we behave.
So we'd love to hear, can you guys tell us what's a brand that you actually are fans of and how did they really get your loyalty?
Oh, for me, it had to be Sprite. I mean, Sprite is a brand that I still hold very, very dear because of nostalgia very much. Right? Yeah. It was one of the first ads that I saw as a teenager, a young teenager, that I saw myself in. It's the Obey Your Thirst work for Sprite. It's my first time as someone who self-identifies as a part of the hip-hop community that I saw people that were enigmatic. They were personifications of the genre, not MC Hammer, which partnered with Pepsi, but Pete Rock and CL Smooth and Grand Poobah and Large Professor. I've never saw these people on like national television, and Sprite was sort of creating this experience through a 30-second film that made me feel like I was in the studio with them, and I felt like they were talking directly to me. I like the value propositions of Sprite for sure. It tastes good, but those memories are really tattooed on my brain. It has this cognitive real estate as such that when I see the brand, when I see it in the world, I immediately sort of jettison back to that time. And I consume habitually because of it. Not because of any rational thing, but really just because of the emotional igniting that it has stirred up in me.
I'm going to go with an example that's very relevant for me at the moment. So I don't know if there's any video gamers out here. EA Sports.
It's in the game.
It's in the game. It's in the game. So growing up, like college football, they had NCAA football. It was like it was the greatest invention ever. Like I love sports video games, but you could play with your college team and all that. And I remember like I organized all the leagues in our dorm in college and everything. It was awesome. Then for a while, the NCAA screwed up and they couldn't make the game for a while. And then last year they brought it back, and they brought it back in like the best possible way. And they went in, and they understood, they listened to all the fans that were out there that were like clamoring for it, and they like went deep. And like every school has all its like nuances, all the traditions, everything, like all these like cool little details about it. And so now, all these years later, my son, who's like about to turn 12, now we're playing together the same game, but like geeking out over the same things. And like I just love the fact that they understand the people that like are so passionate about college football in their schools, and they put all these little touches in there. So I haven't been as productive this week because it just came out on Monday, so we've been deep into our season here.
Last question here. Can you guys give advice to marketers who obviously are laser focused on real-time immediate sales, right? But also working to create this fandom over time, like you guys have with these brands that you just spoke about. How do you kind of marry the two within the current media ecosystem?
Sure, I can start. We have just something that I've used going back to my days at Yum Brands, a saying we call building our. You have to drive sales overnight and building your brand over time, and you have to be doing both of those at the same time, right? So you can't say, "Hang on, I'm going to drive sales in 2 years while I build the brand." so you have to be balancing both of those things. And I think, in today's world, that means a lot of different things. It means being really sharp on like some really tactical things that make your brand stand for value and are going to drive short-term traffic in our case, into our restaurants. Media plans that can balance big mass awareness and reach on big, TV, live sports, all that. But then also dedicating enough time and budget to things that you might not be able to prove out with like a direct, this drove this many people into Chili's the next day or week or month, but you're making deposits and you're building your brand and you're telling people what you stand for and what you're about. And so our team, we call those things culture pops. We're trying to balance constantly how we balance those two things, but we have to be doing both of those at the same time.
Yeah. Now, I'd say advice I would give is to realize that we as marketers, we don't make meaning. Right? We signal meaning, but people ultimately ascribe meaning to things. Therefore, our job is really about signaling meaning such that it is translated accordingly. For instance, my wife would say, "Can you change into the dishwasher?" And I go, "Yes, dear." And she go, "Why you say it like that?" I said, "Yes, dear." It's like, "That's not how your face said it." So what do you mean? I said the words. What do you mean? And the idea here is that I'm signaling meaning, acquiesce, but she saw it differently, and therefore we found ourselves out of sync. It's not until I signal in a way that I know that she's going to receive it such that we find congruence. That's how we have to be as brands, where we're signaling on behalf of our branded products and the brand vessel that holds meaning. We have to signal in such a way that when we say "yes, dear," they go, "Oh, thank you." Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves out of sync all the time.
Right. Well, I appreciate the conversation, guys. This was awesome. And thanks, everybody, for your attention. And once again, for the culture, picking up, it's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks, Michael.